Well, greetings, world, and greetings, Seven Spot. It's been a while. I've had a little bit of a few things come in my life over the last few months, and I have not been up to speed. And I have to apologize to everyone at Seven Spot for not keeping up my end of the bargain with our virtual and socially distant sevens. But it's a great shame, and I am truly sorry. But I have to tell you, I'm getting over it. So here's what's happening today. We've got a terrific virtual and socially distant sevens coming to you today from California in the USA. And it's going to be another GBS Zero build. And it's with Frank Aceves. And he's got an interesting story about his GBS Zero. And it's an interesting story that I did not know because I've been, I guess I'm one of the older seven nuts on this coast anyway. And I'm always interested to find out how people are involved. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Frank. Hello, Frank.
Hey, good morning from California.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Okay, cool. Now, as I said, first off, I'm going to say soon I'm going to take myself out of the picture because these virtual and socially distant sevens are not about me. They're about you and your story, your seven story. So do you mind just telling me a little bit about how you came, number one, to be a person of seven, and then secondarily, how did you get involved with GBS and when?
Yeah, great question. I think for me, started in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a motorhead. I'm a petrol head, as you can see by the stuff behind me. Love sports cars. Had some cool stuff. I'm blessed to have had these cool cars like Corvettes and a couple of Porsches. Actually, just one. But like I said, it started in the 2000s, and I've always loved cars. And I wanted a sports car. But in your early 20s, you don't have a lot of capital. So you're thinking, what can I afford? What can I buy? And, I always wanted to build a kit car. That was always one of my dreams.
Okay,
and,
cool.
I got this. So I think everybody knows this book right here.
That book right there.
Yes. and I saw this and I bought this and, thinking, wow, I could really build a car for, whatever, $5,000. Well, I could afford that. I'm like, if I buy the tools and I cut my own metal and spot weld and never happened, of course.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I think that book is probably my best investment because I think I bought it for like $30 or something. And that book is now like a couple $100. I'm like, dude, that's the best investment I ever made. Anyways, so flash forward, life moves on. Got a great career, knock on wood. And I got rid of the Corvettes and everything just because there was no need for me to have those vehicles because the amount of payment and you didn't really drive it. Don't get me wrong. I love the V8, but I still wanted a car. And I was like, why don't I pursue that dream of the kit car that I always wanted to do? And of course, everyone talks about Factory 5 here in the States and, the GTM Factory 5. I'm like, dude, that thing's sweet, but who's got, not me. I don't have 80, 90 grand available to put into a kit car. And I just thought about the Lotus again, or the 7. The low cost. And I just started doing research. And there's not many things out here in the US. And I came across GBS. I think I came across a British site first. And I was like, dude, these things look sweet. You look at the cost in pounds and convert. I'm like, oh, wow, I can do this, and it doesn't take a lot of capital to get this going. And then I stumbled upon, at the current time, was the U.S. distributor. I think his name was Brian Ball, lived out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Nice guy. Connected with him via email a few times. And then I just ended up sending an email to GBS, UK, England. And they asked me where I'm at. And I'm in Southern California in the greater Corona area. And they're like, hey, there's a guy by the name of Paul Barnes. and he lives in the Corona area. I was like, no way.
Mm-hmm.
And funny story, and this is a great story that I think many Seven people will love, and Paul loves. And I just called him on a Friday afternoon, and I had my daughter with me. I think she was like 7, 8 at the time. I'm like, hey, we're gonna go meet some guy who's got this car, and I want to check it out. And I drive to his house, which is like, luckily for me, like 20 minutes from my house.
Very cool.
And I drive to his house. He has his white GBS Zero outside, and I'm like, dude, that's a really cool looking rig, you know?
Looking car. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that's cool. And we started talking and chatting about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, why don't you come back and we can maybe schedule you for not a test ride, but I'll give you a spin in the car. I'm like, yeah, totally. I'm down. And I went back and went for the drive, and it was exhilarating. It was a different type of exhilaration. You know, just the feedback from the car being so low and planted, the air, you know, even though it's a small 4-cylinder, you know, with the headers and everything, it sounded really cool. And I was intrigued. And then Paul and I kept talking about cost and everything. And then I finally drove it, and it was, like I said, the word earlier, exhilarating. It was truly epic. And I decided to place an order. And the cool thing about this is I made a new friend with Paul. Paul and I have a lot of common interests with, you know, Formula One, motorsports. He works in aviation. I work in automotive, and I'm fascinated by aviation. And, you know, we've become good friends. His wife is a cool person. You know, I can ask him, you know, questions if I ever need something relating to her aspect of her businesses. But we became really good friends. And throughout this process, I asked Paul, hey, is this kind of going to be easy? Like, because I built RC cars, you know, in my late teens. I'm like, I love building things, you know, like, cool, I can take the motor out, I'll put a new servo in and whatever. Is it, you know, is it like, you know, plug and play? And he's like, well, not really.
No.
I was like, all right. I'm like,
maybe plug and you get played.
Yeah. And then I'm like, Paul, would you help me out? You know, build this car? He's like, yeah, I'll help you out.
Yeah.
And I've been really fortunate for Paul. Do this. I think it took me about 4 years to build this car. You know, we spend weekends together at my house. He'll come over. And right here in this garage is where we built this car. And we just bonded over it. And he came over with the parts I needed, the specialty tools that I didn't have, you know, for brake lines. And, you know, the only thing I had was, you know, I had the basic, you know, drills and rivets and all the stuff that I had to buy. But, you know, he brought more of the specialty things like I mentioned, the brake lines and all this other stuff. And, you know, I'm wearing jeans right now that are covered in 5200 from the bonding. And I ruined like 3 great pairs of jeans. They're stained with 5200. And, you know, remember having to clean my hands with get that 5200 off. Luckily, no battle scars. And so that was good. But that's the story of how I came across GBS and kit cars.
Absolutely fabulous. Why don't you take us for a tour? I mean, can you also, when you do take us for a tour, I went to your Facebook page because that's how I get my show notes. I was cruising through your photos, and I saw some of the original photos, and you pointed out it was originally a chrome color. So please take us for a tour. And I'm going to take myself out of the picture now so you can do the whole thing. So it's your show. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to turn my camera around, so bear with me. So as mentioned, this was the garage. That's my little podcast here. Where we built the car. They came in a crate. We put it on here, built it on the stand. Took us about 4 years. Funny thing, really quick before I get to the car, excuse the mess. I had this calendar here, and you can see like these numbers, and these were the amount of hours that we worked that day. And I was like, hey, I'm going to do this for the whole build and calculate the hours. Yeah, that didn't happen. We stopped about year 1. But here's my GBS Zero. I love it. I love this color. Not the color I originally wanted to do. Originally, I wanted to do like I saw a gray Caterham that I wanted to do with some red stripes. Then I saw the peppermint green Caterham. Then I saw like a silver flash color. And those were my original interests. And through Paul, we met a guy by the name of Sticker Dale. He does wrapping. And I called some places to do wrapping. They were charging me like a couple grand and $3,000 to wrap the car. And Dale met me at Paul's house because my car was getting finished up over there. And he brought a sample of colors. And he had these two blues. It was this one, atomic teal, and then some other blue that I loved a little bit more, but it's out of print. But then this atomic teal just caught my interest, and we went with atomic teal. And I think I have no regrets. The cool thing, it's wrapped, but I can change that later. But I have no plans on changing it, and this is what we did. The fenders are still the original, I guess, black GRP color. I did the black wheels from GBS, the Team Dynamic wheels. These are them. The brakes you can see are still the stock Miata brakes. I went with yellow. I kind of regret the decision on going yellow. I remember seeing high-end Porsches with yellow. I wanted to go with yellow, but I think at some point I might get the GBS calipers down the line. The manifold, I left it the way it is. I like that used rustic look. So that I love that. I was gonna go with a black powder coat or ceramic coating, but I think I'm gonna leave it to get that motorsport vintage look on that. The thing I am gonna change is the exhaust. Right now I'm just running a standard MagnaFlow. So with the headers, the ITBs, the throttle bodies, it's loud. My ears are ringing and resonating really loud. So I might order the GBS exhaust. Just to make it a little more quieter. I mean, don't get me wrong, it sounds really cool, but when I'm sitting there, it's right next to my ear and it's loud. So if you go into the interior, I went with Sparco. Sparco seatbelts, they're based out of Irvine. Got a great connection with those guys over there. They've helped me a lot. I went with the Sparco steering wheel as well. A Sparco shift knob and a Sparco parking brake cover. The interior, yes, I know it's a fake carbon dash right now, but I am going to order the real carbon dash. Probably this year, I'll get that. The instruments, Marshall Instruments, based out of Anaheim, California. I highly recommend these things for any future GBS guys. So if you have any interest on this, we can help you get those. By we, Paul and I, he's got a connection with one of the gentlemen down there. You can see the standard Miata cover, not shift, but steering wheel column cover. The quick release is NRG. I think just good for the value. We got these on a great deal. Paul and I actually bought a set as well. As far as the stone protectors, I got these from Kit Car Direct, so they came from England. I wanted to go with that carbon look, and I think they're pretty cool. We just use a 3M VHB to get them on there instead of riveting or gluing on. They seem to be holding well. Anything else on the interior? Oh yeah, these. Hang on, there's a car passing by. These cushions. I got these from Lusa Motors. They're a company based out of Portugal. They make cover inserts for GRP seats. Good value, I think. I only spent like $100 on these. Probably change them down the line if I can, but it gives a seat an extra look. It comes to the rear. We got the boot cover. Oh, this is great. I went with the Cobra hoops. I know traditional Lotus 7s have the standard hoop. I saw this with the Cobra hoops, and I really just like that look. And I think I was the last one from GBS to get these Cobra hoops. I don't think they were a popular option, but I love it. I love the Cobra hoops. This is the rear. Yes, I'm a big IndyCar fan. I love the diffuser look on this car. I think it just makes it look mean. And you come around to the other side. Same thing. I mean, like I said, I'm running some really cool RE71 Bridgestone tires on the rear. You can see my yellow calipers. These right here, These inserts, I will do the carbon fiber option. Order those from GBS. And let's see. The bonnet, like I said, yeah, bonnet. It's got the louvers. Found a place out here in Southern California that does louvers. So I got those done. But yeah, that's my GBS. Back to you, my friend.
Into the stream along with you. And so you had this, when did you get it? 2017, 2018?
All right.
Frank?
Yep, I'm right here.
Did you
back.
get it? 2017, 2018, was it?
So the car showed up in December 2016.
Okay, 2016.
Yeah, so and then we officially started building in January 2017. Yeah, like I said, it took about a total of about 4 years to fully complete. I was driving the car at close to 3 years.
And in terms of getting it licensed, is that a different story?
Oh, man.
I want to find that out because I'm in British Columbia, Canada, and it took me a few inspections.
Yeah, I think we all share that, right? Yeah. So luckily, there's I met some guys from Paul and his experience. I had some guy, I don't know, Marlon up in the Bay Area. He's one of Paul's friends who has a GBS. He helped me fill out my forms. So he filled out my DMV forms. And then that first visit, I'm like, going to the DMV, this is going to be cake. It's all filled out. And of course, I'm like, hey, I'm here to do the SB 500 or whatever it's called. And they're like, the what? I'm here to register a kit card. They're like,
yeah.
And you're just like, So the first visit, total disaster. The girl's like, well, where's the car? I was like, well, I can't drive it. It's not plated. Well, I can't give you nothing unless you bring the car.
Yeah.
I left in frustration, of course. I just called the DMV hotline and explained to the lady on the phone. They got the supervisor over the phone. And she's like, all right, this is what you're going to do. You're going to walk in. You're going to go ask for a top, temporary operating permit. And you're going to say this. I walked in. I said those things. And the lady's like, here you go. Here's your temporary operating permit. So go do what you got to do. And yeah. And
mine was trailered and dragged there for the inspection.
Yeah. And then I got that. I went back to the DMV. I'm like, I have my top. Here's the car. Here's my forms. And the guy's like, you don't have to bring the car, right? And I was like,
oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And then the brake light was simple. The brake and light inspection was simple. The guy's like, he looks at the brakes. He's like, these are brand new brakes. I don't need to test them. The lights are fine. He tested the headlights. I gave him a quick drive around the block just to make sure the brakes were good. Fixed the headlights. That was simple. DMV, or not the DMV, the CHP, Highway Patrol. I go for the VIN. Guy comes out. He's like, yeah, looks good. Just slaps on, the VIN. He's like, you're good to go.
Awesome. That's great. Well, Frank, I want to say thank you for everybody at 7 Spot. This is that, we're back in the groove. Baby, we're back.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to do the right thing because we've been on now for, I don't know, 25, 7 minutes now. So I'm going to say, gosh, thanks again, Frank, and have yourself a great day. And we will talk to you soon. Yeah,
and if anybody interested in GBS Zero, please contact Paul Barnes and contact Jim. He knows how to get a hold of Paul and me.
And what I have put in our live stream is a comment saying exactly the same thing. Please contact Paul, and it's got his link, his Facebook link there. I'm at some point I'm going to get in touch with Paul and see if, number one, we can do one with him, but secondarily, if we can get more release information so we can spread the word for GBS a little bit more effectively.
Yeah, definitely, Jim. It's been a pleasure. Let's do this again.
Okay.
That'd be fun. Maybe we can get a group of us.
Maybe we'll do a West Coast tour. What do you think of that idea?
I think it'd be cool. And I think if you can get like Paul, a couple other guys, and we could just share our battle stories, that'd be really neat.
Perfect. Frank, have yourself a great day. And thanks for sharing it with your virtual and socially distanced 7 story with 7 Spot. Cheers for now.
See you, Jim. Thanks again.
All right.
Bye.